It's getting close. Everyone was braced for the last eclipse. But this time, most people won't even realize it's coming. You see, not all eclipses are the same. Everyone felt like they understood the previous one. They researched it, talked about it, and got ready for it. But this one is different. Most people won't even pick up on the warning signs until it's already happening. And here's the unsettling reality nobody is talking about. This solar eclipse is partial. Strangely enough, that's the very detail that makes it even more life-changing. Just because it isn't total doesn't mean it lacks power. It means it's precise. Full eclipses are theatrical. They block everything out all at once. But a partial eclipse, that's like a surgeon's scalpel. It doesn't just destroy. It chooses. It seeks out the parts of your life you've been ignoring, the corners you've kept in the dark, and the blind spots you were sure no one could ever see. This eclipse is hitting at a crucial time, arriving right on the cusp of the equinox, a moment when the world is already changing seasons and finding a new balance. This means the eclipse doesn't just pass by us. It slams into a turning point that's already in motion, doubling the pressure. You're going to feel it in your body, in the quality of your sleep, and in your ability to think clearly. Even the tiniest interruption of the sun's light can upset the natural rhythms we depend on. And during this event, those disturbances will spread out like aftershocks. This is exactly why it's so important for you to be ready. This isn't the kind of energy you can just drift through without a care. If you go into it feeling scattered, exhausted, or out of sync, that ripple effect will hit you much harder. But if you take the right steps before it gets here, the same energy that throws others off balance will actually make you stronger. There are specific things you need to do before this eclipse arrives. And if you don't, the decision will be made for you. Clearing the way. Everyone talks about eclipses as these magic portals for creating the life you want. Set your intentions. Write down your lists. Dream bigger. That's the typical advice. And while there's nothing wrong with that, there's a bigger piece to the puzzle. You should also be focused on clearing things out. This eclipse isn't just interested in your vision board. It wants you to get rid of all the dead weight you're carrying. If you walk into this eclipse still caught up with toxic people, stuck in routines that drain you, or clinging to situations that have long since expired, the eclipse will tear them away for you. And when it does, it won't bother asking for your permission. That's why the days leading up to it are so vital. This is your opportunity to be deliberate about what gets removed. Trying to create your dreams only works when the ground is clear. If you plant seeds in a garden choked with weeds, you don't cultivate dreams. You cultivate chaos. So think of these next few days as a deep cleanse, not a time to build more. Ask yourself, what attachments am I holding on to that no longer help me grow? Who is still in my life that doesn't belong there? What habits are quietly stealing my strength? Get rid of them before the eclipse does it for you. Because if you put it off, you won't have any say in how they're taken away. And here's the twist. Sometimes, the thing you have to let go of isn't toxic at all. Sometimes, it's something wonderful that you've simply outgrown. And this eclipse will make sure you face that truth. The 3 targets. Your focus, your energy, and your future plans are all going to be targeted. Solar eclipses follow a pattern. They do more than just darken the sky. They mess with your internal compass. They make you second-guess yourself at the very moments you need to be the most certain. If you aren't prepared, you'll mistake an eclipse-driven test for a personal failure. First up is your focus. You'll feel like you're being pulled in 10 different directions at once. You might start your day with a clear idea of what's important, only to end it wondering why you wasted so much time on things that don't matter. The eclipse's shadow scatters your attention, and if you don't anchor yourself, you'll end up chasing distractions instead of your priorities. Next is your energy. Right when you want to build momentum, you'll find your motivation has vanished. You might feel exhausted for no apparent reason, or feel restless but unable to direct that energy toward anything productive. This is the eclipse's way of forcing you to take a break. But if you fight against it, it can feel just like burnout. And finally, your plans. The eclipse will shake the foundations of your future. You'll start to question where you're going, who you're going there with, and whether you've just been walking in circles this whole time. Relationships, careers, and even personal goals, all of it will be reviewed under this shadow. Eclipses don't ruin your path. They test how tightly you're holding on. If you don't stabilize these 3 areas now, the eclipse will gladly rearrange them for you. And when the universe rearranges your life, it's rarely a gentle process. But here's something no one ever mentions. Sometimes the eclipse isn't targeting you at all. It's targeting someone you're close to. The repeating thought. Have you noticed one single thought playing in your mind over and over again? It feels like it's stuck on a loop. It's not just a passing worry or some random idea, but one specific thought that keeps circling back, again and again. That's not a coincidence. Before an eclipse, this repeating thought is a signal. It's your soul flashing a warning light, pointing directly at something that's unresolved or is about to change. Think about it. Why would the exact same thought keep coming back, no matter how hard you try to push it away? Why does it pop up at the weirdest moments, while you're driving, brushing your teeth, or just trying to fall asleep? That repetition is pressure building up, getting ready to burst open when the eclipse shadow arrives. Repetition is revelation. Whatever the mind keeps circling, the soul is demanding you finally face. Sometimes that looping thought is about a person, maybe someone you haven't talked to in years who suddenly keeps popping into your head. Other times, it's about a decision you never made, a dream you left behind, or a fear you never truly admitted to yourself. The eclipse doesn't invent these loops. It just turns up the volume, dragging them out of the shadows where they can no longer be ignored. This is why so many people feel restless or even anxious in the days before an eclipse. It's not the eclipse itself causing random anxiety. It's your own unfinished business circling louder and louder, forcing you to pay attention. The biggest mistake people make is to write it off as just overthinking. But what feels like overthinking is often your soul screaming, "Hey, this is where the change is about to happen." The looping thought is rarely about what it seems to be on the surface. If you keep obsessing over money, maybe the real issue isn't about finances, but about your need for safety and control. If you can't stop thinking about someone from your past, maybe it's not really about them, but about the piece of yourself you lost during that time. The thought is just the messenger, not the source of the issue. The eclipse doesn't care if you're ready or not. If you ignore this signal, the shift will come anyway, only it will be harder and louder. But if you recognize the looping thought for what it is, you can work with the change instead of being completely blindsided by it. And once you see it, you can't unsee it. That loop is the map. The only question is whether you'll bother to read it before the shadow gets here. Protecting your energy. During a solar eclipse, the protective boundaries that usually surround us become incredibly thin. It's like the veil separating your inner world from the outside world turns to paper. All of a sudden, emotions that don't even belong to you can feel like they're yours. You might walk into a room and immediately feel weighed down by the heavy mood of someone else. Or worse, you might feel a strange pull from energies you can't even identify. An eclipse doesn't just shift the sky, it opens the floodgates. This thinning of boundaries isn't just some poetic idea. People genuinely report feeling more sensitive, more drained, and more easily triggered in the days around an eclipse. And it makes perfect sense. When the sun and moon align in such a powerful way, the natural filters we normally rely on get weaker. Things that would usually bounce right off your energy field now slip right through. That's why shielding your energy during this period isn't optional. It's a matter of survival. If you don't, you'll find yourself carrying burdens that were never meant for you. Suddenly, you're angry for no good reason, exhausted after a simple conversation, or haunted by feelings that have nothing to do with you. But shielding doesn't mean you have to build a giant wall around yourself. It simply means being more aware. Who are you spending your time with in these days leading up to the eclipse? What kind of environments are you walking into without a second thought? What invisible influences are you allowing to sit in your personal space without question? The eclipse makes everything more intense, which means being careless with your energy now will hit you harder than usual. Imagine your personal energy as a house with all the doors and windows wide open. On a normal day, a light breeze might drift through. But during an eclipse, it's not a breeze. It's a hurricane. And hurricanes don't ask for permission before they come inside. So, how do you shield yourself? By being deliberate. By choosing who and what gets access to you. By recognizing when the heaviness you feel isn't yours and refusing to let it move into your mind. Shielding isn't being paranoid. It's having respect for your own well-being. And here's the honest truth. If you don't protect your energy, the eclipse will use it as a testing ground. It will show you exactly where your boundaries are weak, where you're too open, and where you're being too careless with your own sacred space. Protecting your energy isn't selfish, it's sacred. Because if you don't shield yourself now, you might find out too late that the eclipse has already turned you into a vessel for something you never wanted to let in. The language of dreams. Before an eclipse, the nights can start to feel different. Sleep is no longer just a time for rest. It becomes a stage for something more. Your dreams become sharper, louder, and much harder to ignore. Some are so intense that you wake up feeling shaken, carrying their emotional weight with you long into the day. Others are just plain bizarre, filled with symbols you can't quite figure out. But none of them are random. They are the language of your subconscious, pushing its way through as the veil between worlds thins. Dreams are the soul's way of communicating when your conscious mind is too busy and distracted to listen. In the days leading up to this eclipse, your dreams are acting as a kind of purge. They are pulling unresolved emotions, buried fears, and hidden desires out of the corners of your mind and playing them out in symbolic stories. That's why so many people feel both drained and strangely lighter after having a powerful dream during this time. It's your psyche cleaning out its closets before the eclipse energy arrives. Think of it as a spiritual detox that happens while you're asleep. But this is where it gets really interesting. Not all of these dreams are about purging the old. Some of them carry guidance. They plant seeds of insight that will only start to make sense later on, after the eclipse has shifted your perspective. A strange symbol, a repeating image, or even a random conversation you have with someone in a dream. It might feel meaningless now, but often, after the eclipse, the puzzle pieces will click into place, and the message will become clear. This is why dreams around an eclipse feel different from your everyday dreams. They have a certain weight to them, as if they're connected to something much bigger. They carry a frequency that follows you into your waking life. Many people report experiencing déjà vu after an eclipse, living through something in real life that they first witnessed in a dream just days before. That's not a coincidence. That's alignment. The truth is, not all of these dreams will be pleasant. Some will force you to confront versions of yourself you'd rather not acknowledge. Others might bring back people from your past you thought you had forgotten. But that discomfort is the whole point. The eclipse magnifies whatever is left unfinished, and your dreams are its chosen messengers. Dreams before an eclipse are like letters written in a secret code. You might not understand them right away, but their meaning will be delivered right when you need it. So, pay attention. Write them down. Keep track of the symbols, even if they don't make any sense to you right now. Because later, after the eclipse shadow has passed, you may realize your dreams were already preparing you for the exact changes that were about to happen. And here's an even deeper layer. Some of these dreams aren't just about you. The thinning veil means you might be picking up on collective signals, visions, and feelings tied to humanity as a whole, not just your personal journey. That's why some eclipse dreams feel so much bigger than your own life, carrying a sense of importance you can't quite put your finger on. The eclipse speaks through dreams because they bypass our logic, get past our denial, and cut straight to the truth. And once you've received that truth, no matter how confusing it seems, it starts to shape the choices you make when you're awake. The first thing in the morning trap. If you keep doing this one thing every single day, you're essentially sending an open invitation for the eclipse to knock you off your feet. And what is it? Reaching for your phone the very second you wake up. It seems harmless, right? It feels almost automatic. But right now, in the days leading up to this eclipse, it's one of the most spiritually damaging habits you can have. Think about it. The very first thing you do each morning sets the energy for your entire day. If you wake up and immediately bombard your mind with notifications, news headlines, messages, and endless scrolling, what message are you sending to your spirit? You're essentially declaring that the noise of the outside world is more important than your own inner voice. You're giving away your clarity before you've even had a chance to take a deep breath. Attention is a form of currency. Whatever you spend it on first thing in the morning owns the rest of your day. During normal times, this habit is already a major drain on your focus, but under the intense energy of a solar eclipse, its effect is magnified. The eclipse takes that signal from your first moments and amplifies it. If your signal is distraction, the eclipse will strip away even more of your internal guidance system. The result is confusion, overwhelm, and a weird sense of disorientation that can make you feel like you're living someone else's life instead of your own. And here's the part most people don't get. The eclipse doesn't just create this chaos out of thin air. It responds to the choices you're already making. When you start your day by scrolling, you're choosing to align yourself with external control instead of your own internal truth. The eclipse simply speeds up that pattern until it becomes impossible for you to ignore. Start your day in silence, or risk losing the signal from your own soul. This isn't about being against technology. It's about reclaiming the sacred first few minutes of your morning. Just a few moments of stillness, sitting with your breath, noticing your thoughts without judgment, or simply listening to the quiet, is enough to anchor your spirit before the eclipse energy fully hits. Think of it like locking your doors and windows before a big storm. It won't stop the storm from coming, but it will help keep your house standing firm. So, if you want to get through this eclipse with your clarity intact, do not give the first breath of your day to a screen. Not until the 22nd has passed. Guard your mornings, because those first few moments will decide whether the eclipse strips away your guidance or sharpens it. The power of doing nothing. People think the most powerful thing they can do before an eclipse is to act, to write, to plan, to manifest, to hustle, to meditate even harder, to do more. But here's the truth that most people won't tell you. Eclipses are not about being productive. They are about getting into alignment. They reveal your alignment. This September 21st eclipse isn't asking you to force your way into a new chapter of your life. It's asking you to clear enough space so that the new chapter can arrive all on its own. And that means embracing stillness. It means letting your nervous system rest, allowing the noise of the world to fade away, and giving your soul a chance to finally breathe. Think about it. You can't find alignment when you're busy filling every moment of silence. The deepest and most profound revelations always emerge in the pauses, not in the middle of chaos. If you're constantly on the move, the eclipse has no room to bring you clarity. Instead, it will start stripping away whatever is making you so restless until you have no other choice but to stop. Silence is not emptiness. Silence is the space where the truth can finally be heard. Honoring stillness doesn't mean you have to abandon your life. It simply means consciously creating small pockets of quiet where the eclipse's energy can work with you instead of against you. Take a walk without your headphones. Sit in a room without immediately reaching for a distraction. Even just lying down and breathing deeply for a few minutes can be more transformative than trying to force yourself through rituals or routines that feel heavy and unnatural. This eclipse is all about alignment at its very core. The sun, the moon, and the earth, three massive celestial bodies locking into perfect, breathtaking precision. That same potential for alignment is mirrored inside of you, if you'll allow it. But here's the catch. If you fill the silence with endless activity, that alignment turns into a clash. If you embrace the stillness, the alignment turns into a revelation. And that's why the greatest preparation you can do before this eclipse isn't writing another affirmation or setting another goal. It's pausing. It's trusting that clarity will come not because you forced it to, but because you finally made enough space for it to arrive. The sacredness of silence. There's a good reason why ancient traditions always treated eclipses with a sense of mystery and secrecy. What happens during the eclipse window isn't meant for everyone to hear, because outside voices can distort what is still fragile, raw, and taking shape inside of you. Not everything that grows in the dark is meant to be shown to the light right away. When you share your plans and insights too soon, you don't just reveal them, you hand them over. You open them up to other people's doubts, their projections, and even their quiet envy. And during an eclipse, when energy is already unstable and rearranging itself, those outside influences can scatter the very clarity you've just started to find. Think about how many times you've told someone about an idea or a decision you were genuinely excited about, only to feel that excitement drain away once their opinions or skepticism crept in. That's exactly what this eclipse will intensify if you're not careful. This is why it's not just about making changes right now. It's about protecting those changes from interference. Silence isn't about being secretive. It's about protection. The September 21st eclipse is what I call a recalibration eclipse. It's primarily rearranging your internal compass, not so much the external world around you. And when something is being recalibrated, it needs to be held steady. Imagine trying to balance a sensitive scale while people keep throwing random weights onto it. That's what happens when you let the outside world in on your private transformations too early. But there's a hidden layer to this. It's not just the voices of others you need to guard against. It's also the temptation to talk about your plans out loud before they've had a chance to mature. The act of constantly talking about what you're going to do can trick your brain into feeling like it's already done. That false sense of accomplishment weakens your drive and leaves your vision vulnerable. And under the energy of an eclipse, that weakness gets exposed almost instantly. The truth is, the eclipse doesn't just amplify energy, it tests it. If your plans are still fragile, if your vision isn't fully formed, if you speak it into the world too soon, the eclipse will unravel it before it can even take root. That's why the most powerful transformations often happen quietly, with no witnesses, until they become too strong to be undone. Think of a seed planted deep underground. No one sees it. No one praises it. No one has any idea what's happening down there. But in that darkness, in that hidden silence, the seed is gathering power. Only when it's absolutely ready does it break through the surface. Unstoppable. That's exactly how you must treat your plans before and during this eclipse. Guard your plans like they are sacred. Let them breathe and grow in silence. Trust that when the time is right, they will be strong enough to handle the noise, opinions, and energy of others. But right now, they are just seedlings. And seedlings don't grow if they're constantly being pulled out of the soil to be shown off. What is whispered to you during the eclipse must stay between you and the shadow until it is ready to bloom. So in these days before and after the eclipse, resist the urge to over-explain, to announce, or to prove yourself. It's not because you don't believe in what you're doing, but because belief turns into real power when it's nurtured in silence. The less you say now, the more your actions will have to say for you later. Your words have weight. There's a strange kind of law that seems to activate around eclipses. Words stop being just sounds, and they start to carry real weight. It's as if every syllable you speak gets stamped into the energy of the moment, echoing longer and reaching further than it normally would. That's why the days leading up to an eclipse are not the time for careless chatter. What slips out of your mouth right now doesn't just disappear into thin air. It reverberates. It attaches to things. It lingers. During an eclipse window, your voice becomes like a spiritual command line. Think of it this way. Every word you release is a signal you send out. Some signals call in clarity, while others call in chaos. And in the supercharged atmosphere before the September 21st eclipse, those signals get magnified. Words of healing, truth, and alignment will carry like powerful prayers. Words of anger, gossip, or self-doubt will ripple out like poison, often returning to you in ways you didn't expect. This is why ancient mystics treated speech as a sacred tool. They understood that it doesn't just describe reality, it actively shapes it. And under an eclipse sky, that shaping power is cranked up to the max. What you whisper today could be what you're forced to live with tomorrow. But here's the part that nobody tells you. The danger isn't just in what you say to other people. It's also in what you say to yourself. The critical thoughts you mutter under your breath. The harsh self-judgments you let slip in moments of weakness. The casual insults you might throw at your own reflection. The eclipse takes those words too and stamps them right onto your energy field. You might think you're just venting, but in this window of time, your words can become chains that you'll be wearing long after the shadow has passed. The reverse is also true. Words of love, words of trust, and words of courage, even whispered when no one else is listening, will also echo back, weaving protection and alignment into your path. The eclipse amplifies everything, which means even the smallest intentional word can carry the force of a blessing. You don't have to be completely silent, but you must be sacred with your speech. So, here's the challenge. Before the eclipse, measure your words. Let every sentence you're about to say run through a quick filter. Ask yourself, is this healing? Is this true? Is this necessary? If the answer is no, let it remain unspoken. Not because silence is always safer, but because sometimes silence is the only way to avoid tying yourself to energies you don't want following you into the eclipse shadow. And remember this, words are doors. Every time you speak, you open a doorway and invite something in. Some words open doors to wisdom, peace, and strength. Others open doors to confusion, conflict, and regret. During this eclipse, when the boundaries between worlds are thin, those doors swing open much wider than usual. Choose very carefully which ones you decide to unlock. You don't always have to announce, defend, or explain yourself. Sometimes the most powerful thing you can do with your voice is to save it for what truly matters most. The eclipse will take every careless phrase and amplify it, but it will also take every intentional word and anchor it into your reality. So be deliberate. Speak as if your words are spells, because during this eclipse window, they are. And once the shadow passes, you'll either be walking through the doors you consciously opened or trapped behind the ones you accidentally left ajar. The final moments. A sacred pause. When the eclipse window finally opens, people rush to perform rituals, light candles, set intentions, and call in their grandest visions. But here's the truth that almost no one will admit. The most powerful thing you can do right before an eclipse is nothing at all. Not manifesting, not visualizing, not asking for anything. Just silence. If you want the eclipse to give you something, you have to let it find you empty. This moment isn't about showing the universe how hard you can force your own will. It's about clearing the stage so the eclipse can actually deliver what is truly meant for you. Because when you're busy filling all the space with your own demands and desires, you're drowning out the quiet, subtle messages that are trying to get through to you. So, what should you do? Be alone. Be still. Be quiet. That's the entire ritual, even if it's just for 5 minutes right before the eclipse's shadow begins to cross. Put your phone away. Turn off the music. Let the conversations end. Create a small container of absolute stillness around yourself. In that stillness, you are no longer the one speaking. You become the receiver. You are signaling to the cosmos, I am here, and I am listening. And when you send out that signal, the eclipse has a way of aligning things for you that you didn't even know you needed. The answers don't arrive like fireworks. They come in whispers, and whispers can only be heard in the quiet. Think about it. The most profound and life-changing shifts you've ever experienced rarely came when you were busy shouting your intentions at the sky. They came in those sudden, unexpected moments of clarity when everything went quiet and the truth simply arrived. That's exactly the kind of space the eclipse wants you to create for it. But here's what most people miss. The silence isn't just for you. It's also a form of protection. In those few minutes when the veil is at its thinnest and energies are swirling, silence becomes your armor. Every word you choose not to say is a doorway you intentionally keep closed. Every distraction you refuse to engage with is a shadow you refuse to invite inside. Stillness doesn't just prepare you, it protects you. And it's not just about the silence on the outside. It's about finding silence on the inside. The eclipse asks you to pause the endless inner chatter, the looping arguments with yourself, and the constant replay of your fears. When you can soften that internal noise, you create an opening where the eclipse can plant something new. A seed of truth, an image of your next direction, a flash of insight that can shift your entire course forever. Some ancient traditions even believe that the moments just before an eclipse were a sacred test. Could you hold still long enough to notice the invisible? Could you resist the powerful urge to fill the silence and simply wait? Because those who rushed, those who made demands, and those who panicked often walked away with nothing but more confusion. But those who held themselves in quiet reverence came away changed, marked, shifted, realigned, and awakened in ways they couldn't yet explain. So, in those final minutes before the shadow passes over, honor the silence as if it were a sacred ritual in itself. Let your body relax. Let your breath slow down. Let the mental chatter fall away. Trust that what is meant to reach you will only find you if you stop running and finally allow yourself to just stand still. If you are still watching, I just want to say thank you for your time and attention. If you found this helpful and want to see more content like this, please consider clicking the subscribe button. Your support means a lot. Feel free to share any of your own experiences or thoughts in the comments below. Until next time, take care and thank you for being here.